Man, the markets sure do have a funny way of shaking people out, pissing people off, taking it the exact opposite direction that you would expect it to go, liquidating people's positions or hitting their stop losses, stop hunting people, which is one of the main things that institutions do. That's how they grab liquidity. That's how they make money. So if you're wondering exactly why Bitcoin is doing this right now, then I'm about to show you. And I posted a couple of videos previously talking about how Bitcoin could be going down, right? I will let you know where I am in my trade as well. If you were watching my previous videos, I appreciate you. And yeah, let's just jump straight into the charts, and it's gonna be a high level overview, man. I know everybody's like, not a lot of people are very happy today. All right, the stock markets were pumping at first. Gold and silver were getting wrecked for some reason. At the same time, the Bitcoin's getting wrecked. So there's a lot of opposite things happening right now. Because now the stock market's pulling back, right? And so yeah, it's quite an odd scenario that we're in right now. A lot of times stuff like this does happen around the holidays. So don't let it get to you. Don't let it get you too terribly mad. I know like it kind of irritated me. You know, they got me earlier. And it irritates me. But at the end of the day, as long as you're still in the game, you're still in the game. So with that being said, let's talk about why this is happening, how you could have kind of seen it coming, but not just seen it coming, even if you couldn't have seen it coming, how you could protect yourself so long as you have risk parameters in place. You shouldn't get wrecked too terrible if you're trading stuff like this. So let's just get straight into it. We'll talk about it, right? Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to go to the Bitcoin chart. I'm going to show you, if you were watching my previous videos, and again, if you want the full analysis on this, go to the Drew_Wolfer YouTube channel because that's where you're going to get the full analysis. I'm going to give you like a really high level breakdown of what happened, right? So I was calling a short somewhere up in this area right here, about 99K, right? I rode that short down here, okay, and was targeting a lot lower of a price, right? And this is where you should probably like start thinking about taking some profits, taking things off of the table. But I just set my stop loss to where if we set a higher low or a higher high, that I would just get stopped out because most likely what was going to happen is we were going to rip to the upside, right? Well, so this is what happened, right? We saw this rounding top. We had this really like long standing um rising wedge, okay, which is literally right here. And we also had this upward support line that we just fell on. And then I'm going to show you this November bearish wedge that kind of happened, and bearish wedges like to break down, right? Now we have not really, we retested it a little bit here, but that's why I was targeting like $85,000 all the way down here, right? This is where I'm targeting. It's like very beginning of this run, okay, which is way over here. This is where we started that bearish wedge, right? So this target is still $86,000. And a lot of people got shaken out up here because they entered leveraged longs thinking we were going to go above 100K. If you watched all my other videos, you know that we basically broke every bullish pattern that could have possibly, like, there could have been. So here's my point. A lot of people thought that this is what I thought this morning. So I was in a short, right? I think it was like right over here was where I was up pretty substantially, a couple of grand. And then I said, okay, no big deal. We are going to continue with our target and we're going to put our stop loss somewhere up here in the 98.7 range, which is so that if we took out this previous high right here, because we came out, we kind of bottomed out down here, we set a lower high and then we set a higher low. And I was like, okay, this might be not necessarily where we want to be in. So I'm going to set my stop loss, outside of this previous high, because if we take that out, and we get a higher low again, we're blasting off. We're probably going to 100K, 102K, something like that, right? So I actually got stopped out right up here at the like 20 or 98.7 something, which, like I said, the markets have a funny way of just like trying to piss you off, irritate you. And that was within $200 of the top. And then they were like, okay, we're going to reverse this. And I was like, okay, no big deal. Let's see what happens. Because now what I was seeing at that point was I was like, oh, okay, this is like earlier this morning, right? was like, okay, there's an inverted head and shoulder that's kind of forming here. And I was like, this might be, a pretty good scenario for people to go long here in a second. This is on the 10-minute chart, but it looks a little bit more clear on the hourly chart. If you look at it, I'll show you the inverted head and shoulders. So you can kind of see this is where I was like, okay, we might be getting our bottom here, right? Which is very close to this other shoulder. Well, then if we take it all the way down to the bottom of this one, this isn't a head and shoulders pattern. Okay. So that's nullified, right? So I basically said, okay, that's not happening. So we're definitely not long now, right? And a lot of people flipped short here, right? And then guess what? We ran into the 200 MA on the 1 hour chart, and then boom, right? We blasted off. Okay. So on the hourly chart, we're literally seeing a bearish formation, right? The 100 is now above the 50. The 9 is headed down. It's crossed the 20. The 20 is about to cross down below the 50. It's kind of like riding it right now. So again, like same thing as on the 10-minute. Once that 200 gets above the 100 and these start to curl down, that's an extremely bearish scenario. Do we actually get there? I'm not 100% sure that we do. I mean, we can kind of bing bong, but here's my point. We also have what's called an MA pattern forming. And I'm going to take everything else off to kind of show you, here's the market structure that we are now in, right? So if you look at the new downtrend market structure, this is what we're in now, right? So we're running into resistance here because we fell through this channel, like to the downside, right? We don't necessarily like to break these channels to the downside. As you can see here, we came right back up in it. We might come right back up in it here. So what happens in an MA pattern is you go up, you come back down, you go up, you come back down, and then you retest the bottom of this M, right? The bottom of the middle of the M. And this is where you would want to be entering for a short position. Now, I'm not I'm not telling you to go long here, right? I'm definitely not telling you to go long here. I'm telling you, if you want to, you could go short right here at the retest of this pattern. Okay, and then you could write it down. And as you can see, that's taking us all the way down to $92,000, called 91.8, right? Now, if you've been watching enough of my videos, you know that there's, some major supports here. First off, we've got the 200, right? We bounced off of it. We went through it, but we did bounce off of it, right? We're kind of bing bonging here, but this is going to come up here and retest this. And if we break below this channel again, it's not going to be looking good. Then you had your line in the sand here, which was kind of like that previous low. Now we've set a lower low from that. We set a lower high, right? Lower high, or here's the high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So now we're like trending downwards, right? And you could even go as far to say, this is now the new channel, right? Going down. Okay. So where does that put us? Because we also have this macro upward channel that we have some serious support right here. And we literally bounced off of that. Okay. We literally bounced off of that at like 94.5. If you look at the low of this, it was 94.555. This green channel right here is at like 94.518 or something like that. So I'm thinking about entering a short-term short position here to either write it down here, see what happens here. But if we fall through here, we're coming down here to 92K. And that's where you would start looking at your levels that I kind of flash on the screen. But this is essentially, these are all the levels that would take us down to our target at 85K, right? So like this is something that it can go really far, really fast. You never know, because when you have a parabolic up move like this and you lose a big trend channel like this, right? And let me take these things off and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. When you move them, or when you lose a massive trend channel like this, I mean, it can get nasty. So with that being said, you kind of see where I'm looking, right? So my short was in profit, okay? And this is kind of a call to action for people. Whenever you are in profits, right? Take some money off of the table, right? And of course, I didn't get wrecked, but I also didn't make a bunch of money, which I should have, right? I could have, right? And so I would like to see us come back to where the bottom of the middle of this M is, and then boom, enter right there. Is this a perfect MA pattern? No, not by any means. Okay. With all other things accounted for, it's a pretty solid looking MA pattern. I'd give it like probably 60% probability, 65% probability of playing out. So, especially if we retest that level, you got to come back to that level though. So keep those levels in mind. Appreciate everybody for showing up. Make sure you go over and subscribe to the new Drew_Wolfer YouTube channel and boom, bang on that notification bell. I will see you there. Peace.